and welcome to the Nurburgring. We are back again, and again we've got wonderful weather and it's hot. I did not think I could say that on the 19th of September here in the Eifel, but it is really hot and I'm sure it's going to be a hot race. I've got Robin Freins right here. Robin, you're P2. Müller is behind you and there are only 28 points in the championship between you. You're behind him, so anything is possible from here. How are you feeling? How is the pace and do you have a good strategy?
Well, I think it's always the same three guys in front. I'm always fighting with Nico, René and me and myself for qualifying at least, and the race is always quite similar as well. So it's very difficult to gain points or to gain a gap as the guys are always there. So I think in the race it's going to be very close. The lap times are very close. So I think the race will be fun till the end. I think the last 5 laps will be very crucial for all of us.
All right, hopefully we'll see some really good fights. Thank you so much, Robin. He's your commentator.
See lots of good fights. Robin, of course, doing the chasing in the Drivers' Championship points at the moment, which is led by Nico Müller on 206, Robin on 178. Now, this is the car of Harrison Newey, who has had his time taken away from quali, and he has to start from the back of the grid. And sketchy in terms of the reasons behind it, but this is Lucas Auer, who goes from P15 on the grid, so 1 place ahead of Harrison Newey, who, as I say, is having to start from the back of the pack due to a disqualification from qualifying. And the Robert Kubica fans are here in good numbers, and it's nice to see fans here at the Nurburgring. Good afternoon, welcome. Robert Kubica going from P14 on the grid. For Orlen Team ART, his qualifying time of 1:20.106. Hello, lovely to see you here. Spectators, of course, in smaller numbers than we would love at the Nürburgring, but we're just delighted to be racing and delighted to have you here. Loic Duval, difficult qualifying for him. He goes from P13 on the grid, but I say difficult qualifying. The whole of the 16 cars covered by less than a second. That's how close it is in DTM, and we, of course, expect it to be very close during the course of the race. DT Gas to the right-hand side of your picture there. And this is Mike Rockenfeller. Mike Rockenfeller goes from P12 on the grid, so he's got some overtaking to do to get to the sharp end of the order. René Rast, the car that we can see. Let's see the driver now. He's with Verena.
Schnell zu René. And I've got René Rast here, and pole setter. So everything's looking really good, and you're third in the championship, so you really need to push hard, right?
Yeah, we have to win, obviously. We need to gain some points on Nico and on Robin. It's going to be difficult. They're always quick in the race, so we try our best and see what happens.
You go for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And back to the commentator.
Two-time DTM champion René Rast then, as he says he knows he's got to work hard and try and take points away from those that are ahead of him in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, and they are namely Robin Freins and Nico Müller. This is Sheldon van der Linde, who really impressed across both of our free practice sessions yesterday. Qualifying 1:19.994, the best that Sheldon could deliver, which gives him P11 on the grid. So work to do for Sheldon, who of course is a extraordinary talent, no question about that. And Sheldon celebrating, of course, his first DTM win this year. Timo Glock, he goes from P10 on the grid. So Timo then, one of the most enigmatic characters on our DTM grid. And Timo's best finish this season, a P2, which came in the second race at our second visit at Lausitzring. Now, this is Fabio Scherer. Now, he had an off during the quali session. The WRT team have had to work hard to vacuum the gravel out of the car. He went off at turn number 1 and caused the qualifying session to be suspended. And it was red flagged, and the drivers only got 3 minutes right at the end of the session. And René Rast did improve in that final 3-minute section, which was really good to see. René then on pole position for this DTM race 1 of 2 this weekend. Jamie Green, well, again, in the free practice sessions, P1 and P2 across the two of them. And he goes from P8 because he banked a 1:19.920, which gives him P8 on the grid. So Jamie, another one, some work to do to get to the sharp end of the order. And here we can see Ferdinand then with the warm-up routine. And the best of the BMW drivers, Philipp Eng, he goes from P4 on the grid with a time of 1:19.7. Let's hear from Philipp Eng now.
Best BMW is in P4, and that's Philipp Eng. Philipp, it's been a tough season for BMW, also for you, but now in P4. So can we hope for at least a podium?
This would be a dream, yes. First time for me starting so far up the grid this year, so I'm very happy about the qualifying result, but we didn't win or lose anything yet. I'm definitely up for the fight and I will give it all.
I'm sure you will. We've got 8 races to go, so you go get them, Tiger. Thank you so much, and back to you.
If anyone is prepared to give 101%, it is the Austrian Philipp Eng, a fantastic racing driver, and as he says, his best quality of the season, going from P4 on the grid. So best wishes to Philipp Eng as he takes the fight to the 3 Audis ahead of him in Nico Müller, Robin Freins and René Rast. And talking of Nico Müller, Drivers' Championship leader, going from P3 on the grid, which means, of course, a second row start, which is not optimum. He would have preferred to be on the front row, and, of course, would have always liked to take pole position because that banks an additional 3 points. As it is, he's had to take a 1 point for finishing P3 in quali, but nonetheless, his points tally is 206, and his closest pursuer is his teammate from the Ad Sportsline team, Robin Freins, as Thomas Biermeier there, team principal of Audi Sport Team Ad Sportsline, wishing all the team the best for the race ahead. Thomas, great to see you. There is Robin Freins then, final stages of preparation before getting into the car. That 1:19.607 for Robin Freins. He was bested just in the final 3 minutes of qualifying by René Rast. It looked like Robin was taking P1, but it wasn't to be. René Rast found a couple of tenths, and in fairness, I think René could have potentially found a little bit more still. So, but we are talking about thousandths and 100ths to be gained because they are all so very close in qualifying. It's one of the reasons that it makes the DTM series absolutely so fascinating because so close it is. Nico Müller then with the crash helmet going on, and just behind is the head of the DTM, Gerhard Berger there, as always down on the grid ahead of the start of the race. So Nico then will be strapped into the car, which is precisely where René is already. The pole setter and P3 in the Drivers' Championship, banking a valuable 3 points for his pole position from qualifying today. That gets him ever closer to the championship contenders at the moment, which is Nico Müller and Robin Freins. So René there, you can never, ever bet against that guy. Such an extraordinary driver, so focused, so concentrated, really knows how to study the data and get the max out of the car, and also feed back to the engineering team exactly what he needs to give him an optimum set of wheels underneath him. And for sure, that's what they will have worked on to try and get it where it needs to be. It has to be said that the Ad Sportsline drivers, Robin Freins and Nico Müller, have seemingly had something of an advantage over the setup that the Audi Sport Team Rosberg cars have had, but perhaps that's all changing now as René Rast has put that car on pole position. Big difference, of course, between qualifying, the 1 lap pace, and the long run during the race itself, where, of course, the reducing fuel load and tyre deg all play their part, and of course the strategy with the pit stop as well. An awful lot of ponderables that go into a DTM race of 55 minutes plus the lap. So we are around a few minutes from the start getting underway, and there indeed is Gerhard Berger talking to Mike Rockenfeller. Mike Rockenfeller going from P12 on the grid, so some tips being passed on by one Mr. G. Berger, I wonder, as to how to get to the sharper end of the grid. We will see how that performs for Mike. So for the second time, we are back at the Nurburgring, but a different track configuration. It is the sprint circuit. And it's on this circuit of 3.629 kilometers, where we have some 11 turns. 7 of them are right-handers, 4 of them are left-handers, and with a break from the GP circuit, which was used last weekend in the DTM, this track holds so much fascination, steeped in history in the Eifel, under the watchful eye of the Nurburgring Castle, of course, which forms a perfect backdrop to this truly extraordinary track, which demands so much from cars and drivers. And we have 16 of the best of them, the DTM stars, ready to rock here at the Nürburgring. Going from P2 on the grid is Robin Freins. Going from P3 is Nico Müller. Focus and concentration inside the car. Philipp Eng was the best of the BMW drivers, and he goes from P4 on the grid. A qualifying time of 1:19.7 put Philipp Eng P4, as he said. It's the best quali he's had this year. He now needs to convert that quali pace into the pace for the 55-minute plus 1 lap race to come. There is the castle then, looking down on this wonderful place steeped in the Eifel topography and countryside. And here comes our grid in full. René Rast with a 1:19.472 goes from pole position, with Robin Freins alongside in P2. Nico Müller goes from P3, Philipp Eng P4. Jonathan Aberdeen and Marco Wittmann lock out the third row of the grid, P5 and P6 respectively, before we find Ferdinand Habsburg and Jamie Green, who's the star of FPs this weekend. Fabio Scherer and Timo Glock, it's P9 and P10 for them. Sheldon van der Linde and Mike Rockenfeller have to settle for the 6th row of the grid, P11 and P12, with Loic Duval and Robert Kubica on the 7th, P13 and P14. Lucas Au, P15, Harrison Newey then with the DQ, disqualified out of quali. He has to start from the back of the pack. Our helicopter then reveals this extraordinary place. Full throttle for 70% of the lap. The air temperature is a beautiful 24 degrees. Well, 23.5 if we're going to be absolutely spot on accurate. 3.629 kilometers. Turn number 1, almost a hairpin as you run downhill. That right-hander, you can see it then as our camera pans back from that turn number 1, just below the, just beneath the graphics that you can see. And there you can see it in full effect. Sometimes, bear in mind, staggered grid, so René is starting on the outside, Robin is on the inside, and if Robin can get a really good launch and René gets a less than optimal launch, Robin could be in the gun seat going into turn number 1. It's a possibility. And there is our pole sitting car. Drivers' Championship leader Nico Müller, he's got to make it work from the third place on the grid, which is not what he would have liked. He would have liked to have been further up the order, but genuinely, it's a couple of tenths between the top 3 in terms of qualifying and where they sit on this brilliant grid of cars. So all the pressure is on René, but he, of course, he's chasing and is having to try and claw back that gap that exists to A, Robin Freins, and B, to the championship leader, Nico Müller. René Rast, of course, current DTM champion and 2-time DTM champion at that. As the safety car is off on a recce lap around this circuit, and everyone makes their way back from the grid and into the pit lane. So Robin Freins, the door will be closed by his engineer, and the engineers, now having started the cars, make their way away from the assembled grid, and it will be, where are we, just about 30 seconds away from the formation lap getting underway for our DTM drivers for this, the 6th event of our COVID-affected 2020 calendar, with 2 events, 2 weekends to come in Zolder, and then, of course, the finals at Hockenheim at the beginning of November. The boss walking back, and he will enjoy the race as he always does. Watches every single minute of it, as you would expect. So, in 1 second, we should see the light go green, as if by magic. The cars are released then on their formation lap, and we get ready to rumble. This is DTM race 1 of this weekend on the sprint circuit of the Nurburgring track. And the cars all getting away well. And they will line up in their grid boxes at the conclusion of this formation lap, ready for a fight of some 55 minutes plus a lap. So the car's running downhill through turn number 2 now. We pick them up with Jamie Green and Ferdinand Habsburg side by side in the black liveried Audis. Here's the grid once again for you. On the front row, René Rast and Robin Freins. They will be pushed by Nico Muller and Philipp Eng, who in turn have Jonathan Aberdeen and Marco Wittmann behind them on row 3. Row 4 contains Ferdinand Habsburg and Jamie Green, and on row 5 we find Fabio Scherer and Timo Glock going from P9 and P10. Sheldon van der Linde and Mike Rockefeller, it's P11 and P12 for those guys, and Loic Duval and Robert Kubica, P13 and 14, row 7 start. Row 8 for Lucas Auer and Harrison Newey. Lucas Auer from P15, Harrison Newey from the back of the pack due to a disqualification from qualifying, and that means he has to start right from the back of the pack. So the car's heading up towards the chicane now, which is turns 9 and 10, and it's the exit of turn 10 where you can begin to set up a move going into turn number 1. Ignore turn 11, which is where the cars are heading now, or certainly René is. It is the time made out of turn 10, getting an optimal exit from turn 10. You can carry more speed around turn 11. That sets you up perfectly, potentially for an overtake going into turn number 1. Engineers will guide the drivers into their grid boxes with millimetre precision. And René will probably be the first one of those that we will hear being guided into his box. Stand by.
10, 5, 3, 2, 1 meter, half one, slowly stop.
So René then into his grid box, so too Robin Freins. Of course, those guys, the tension and anticipation builds because they have to wait for the final cars to go into their grid boxes before the race can be green flagged from the rear of the grid to ascertain everyone is in their grid box correctly, and once the starter sees that signal, then he can start the get-go sequence for the green lights. So René Rast, pole position. We get the green flag from the marshal at the back of the pack. The lighting gantry, you can see at the head of the cars, we have 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5. Let's go racing. A very good start from Robin Freins. Not such a good start from René Rast. Now, as I mentioned right at the start of the program, as Nico Muller tries to go around the outside of René, he surely will not have enough grip in the tyres to be able to make an overtake possible. Robin Freins got a brilliant start, and René bogging down at the start. That just means as look at this, he is being challenged now, René, with Philipp Eng trying to go around the outside. Philipp Eng now into P3, having got past Nico Muller, and Marco Wittmann is on something of a charge as well. Robin desperately trying to generate some temperature into those tyres as P2 is under threat now from Philipp Eng, the BMW driver that started from P4 on the grid. Oh, and someone running out wide there. I think it was Ferdinand Habsburg. Yes, it was, kicking up a load of dust ahead of Jamie Green. But Robin Freins is stretching his legs as he moves as quickly as possible onto the back straight now, which does have a kink in it, which is turn number 8, but it's taken absolutely flat. And he will be the first car into this chicane for the first time of asking. So René, then it is Philipp Eng in P3, and the rest of the pack come through. Jamie Green under pressure from Timo Glock, who in turn is under pressure from Loic Duval. There was a touch there between the two of them. So as the first lap is put in the book, the order is Freins from Rast from Eng. Then it is Muller, Wittmann, Aberdeen, Habsburg, Scherer, Green, Glock. And as you can see, a real battle going on with Timo Glock and Loic Duval. Timo just squeezing Loic, and Ferdinand Habsburg's in the gravel, but he's got enough momentum that he'll be able to get it back out onto the tarmac, but distributes gravel all over turn number 2 and the entry to it. So Freins from Rast. Marco Wittmann is in that P5 place. The incident between Timo Glock and Loic Duval is under investigation. Loic Duval getting passed now by Sheldon van der Linde as well. And this is Harrison Newey side by side with Lucas Auer. Of course, they both started on the back row of the grid, and they're side by side now. Brilliant racing between the two of them as Harrison Newey does put his car ahead of that of Lucas Auer. But Lucas Auer comes back now. Got to be brave here. Absolutely full chat, flat out. Lucas Auer comes back. So momentarily, Harry Newey had gained a place, but then loses out as Lucas Auer puts his car ahead once again. As we get a safety car now. Safety car has been called for, and the reason for that is debris on the track, as you can see. So, safety car, and Robin Freins will be cursing his luck, having built a margin of 1.7 seconds from an excellent start. He now finds himself with that nullified because the safety car has been called for. Remember, when it comes to the restart from a safety car in DTM, that we go side by side in Indianapolis style for the restart, which could really advantage René Rast. We will see. In the meantime, that debris has got to be collected. Additionally, I suspect... Now here we're going to see where the debris has come from. And it was off that instant with Loic Duval that we did see live. So Loic Duval on the back corner of the Timo Glock car. Timo did well to control that, to be truthful. But then a piece of the bodywork at the back. Oh, well, there came a second hit from Loic. But in fairness, whether he was in turn shoved by Sheldon van der Linde, and that was Ferdinand Habsburg. Thankfully, he had the sense. I mean, that was almost a carbon copy of how Fabio Scherer went off in quali. But Ferdinand Habsburg kept the power on, and he was able to go back on the track. But look at all this gravel that he's distributing around the exit of turn number 1. I just wonder, as they recover the errant piece of Timo Glock's BMW, whether the marshals will go down there and try and sweep some of that gravel away. It's right between the exit of turn 1 and the start of turn 2. So various parts of Timo Glock's BMW are recovered. Go into the Audi garage. There's Thomas Biermeier on the pit wall for Audi Sport Team and Sportsline.
Temperature.
So Freins and Rast should line up side by side when it comes to the restart. But this was the first start, and look at that, a blistering start from Robin Freins. Really went well and did not go so well for René Rast. Good move as well from Robert Kubica, diving up the inside of Mike Rockenfeller. Here we can see it from Nico Muller's point of view, and you can see that René just bogged down, and Robin through into that P1 position, and Nico trying his luck around the outside of René. It didn't quite work. And here from a different angle then, I'm in a showboat start from Robin Freins. Absolutely got the launch set up perfectly and executed so well. And Philip Eng was looking lively, and of course he did move up into that P3 place ahead of Nico Muller. Lights are out on the safety car, so the safety car is going to come in just after having gone out of the chicane, so the cars will go side by side for the Indy style restart, which is another brilliant feature of the DTM. It really closes the pack up, and places inevitably can change following a restart. Robin Freins, though, will have the inside line going into turn number 1. Philip Eng will fancy his chances as well, and so as the cars creep round the final turn, turn number 11. They will head towards the greens. It's the responsibility of Robin and René to control the pace of this restart. Oh, the tension. Look at these, all bunched up together, side by side. And now Robin gives it an absolute footfall. Philip Eng will try and get to the inside of René and push him back down to P3. And look at this, around the outside from Jonathan Aberdeen, with Marco Wittmann and Nico Muller right in the middle of that sandwich, and gets touched, and he's around. Nico Muller has gone around. blooming good avoidance by everyone that followed. This is disaster. Sorry, it was Marco Wittmann that went around, not Nico Müller. Disaster for Marco Wittmann, who has gone around. Do you know what? I was right the first time around, because there is the Marco Wittmann car. It was Nico Müller. So our points championship leader is now, well, as Mike Rockenfeller is on the inside of Loïc Duval. There is Nico Müller. Why did I doubt myself? It was Nico that was involved in that sandwich between Marco Wittmann and Philipp Eng, and ends up being turned around. And Nico Müller now has got an enormous workload ahead of him. And this playing into the hands of both Robin Freins and René Rast as Loïc Duval shortcuts the chicane. You could see him lock up. He's now going to have to give places back. And Nico Müller finds himself in a battle with Harrison Newey and Robert Kubica. In fairness, it's Ferdinand Habsburg and Robert Kubica. Müller on the inside of Kubica now. Ferdinand Habsburg is really having gone off at turn number one, having to make his way back up the order again. Let's see the restart once again. Another good one from Robin Freins, but it's on the seconds and third rows where we need to watch. I'd like to see that again, because I'm not sure how Nico got the... Well, there you can see that 3-2 doesn't go, and there was a touch from Jamie Green, I think, which there was probably very little Jamie could do about that, and that's turned Nico right around. Let's see it from this angle. And Jamie there making contact with this number 51 car that we're on board with now. Hold on, hold on, hold on. And then comes the spin. All these different angles that we can see this from. Well, Jamie was at that point, he'd locked up before he made contact with Nico. So brilliant to see everything from all the different angles that we could there. My goodness me, in the first 10 minutes of this race, we've had so much entertainment already. Oliver Hoffmann, then the Chief Operating Officer of Audi AG, watches on from the pit wall that Robin Freins leads the race. The race distance has been increased to 55 minutes plus 2 laps as a result of that safety car intervention. So Freins leads from Rast, then Eng, then Wittmann. And we're on board with Nico Müller, who is having to fight his way back up the order. He is now chasing Ferdinand Habsburg. Ferdinand himself having had an off and went off at turn number 1, but runs in P14 at the moment. Harrison Newey's ahead of him, as is Timo Glock. And we're looking back from the Robin Freins car now at René Rast chasing. And Robin has done a very good job by building a lead of 1.301 seconds over René Rast. So Freins, Rast, and then Philipp Eng ahead of Marco Wittmann, and in comes Loïc Duval. So into turn number 1. And Nico Müller to the inside now of Harrison Newey. Marco Wittmann under investigation for forcing Ferdinand Habsburg off the track in turn 5. So there is Ferdinand Habsburg. And this is Loïc Duval. This is not a quick stop.
Go, 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 go.
So the strategy of rolling the dice for Loïc Duval and bringing him in early was really rather nullified by the fact that the stop didn't go well, and a black and white flag being shown to Marco Wittmann. And Loïc Duval back out on track, but bear in mind he'll be on cold tyres now, so it'll take him a lap or two to bring the tyres up to temperature. So Robin Freins for Audi Sport Team Abt Sportsline, then it is René Rast to P2 before that A pair of BMWs, Philipp Eng and Marco Wittmann running P3 and P4, ahead of another pair of BMWs with Jonathan Aberdeen and Sheldon van der Linde. Now this we didn't see. So there's Ferdinand Habsburg fighting with Timo Glock. And contact between the two of them. Allegedly forcing him, Ferdinand Habsburg, off the track in turn 5, which is what the black and white flag was shown to Marco Wittmann for. Well, as you can see, Robin is doing a very good job in terms of increasing the margin between himself and René Rast over every single lap. It's up to 1.4 now if you look to the left-hand side of your screen. On board with René Rast, who's trying to chase down the Robin Freins car. I wonder whether Audi Sport Team Rosberg will bring René in earlier than Robin Freins for his mandatory stop. Try and undercut him in the pit lane. Luc Duval gets a black and white flag for pushing another car on lap 1. Well, of course, that will be the incident that we saw with Timo Glock, which caused part of Timo Glock's car to be on the track, hence the safety car. So the order: Freins, Rast, Eng, Wittmann.
Will be 33 laps to go, so still a long race. You will get the used set. Everybody around you had 17 DRS laps left. 33 laps to go. You get a used tire.
I'm not surprised that Abt have brought Nico in.
The pit lane is clear. And we don't give up. It's still a long race. We keep fighting.
And altogether better stop for
33 laps to go.
Nico Müller, and may as well roll the dice because mired in the traffic at the back of the pack. Now Nico Müller will be out with, as you heard, a used set. He's got Luc Duval coming up behind him. Luc Duval, of course, stopped a lap earlier, so his tyres will be up to temperature. Nico Müller's will be cold tyres, and he'll be weaving to warm those up, and he might just have enough ahead of him to be able to keep Luc Duval behind him. We will see. In the meantime, Robin Freins extends his lead to 1.7 seconds between himself and René Rast. And there you can see Nico weaving from side to side, generating the temperature into the Hankooks that have been put onto the number 51 car. Freins from Rast, from Eng, from Wittmann. And Jonathan Aberdeen is getting closer to Marco Wittmann, and Mike Rockenfeller just taking a look at the Fabio Scherer. Fabio Scherer running in P7, Mike Rockenfeller in P8. On board with Jonathan Aberdeen then. He is chasing Marco Wittmann. This is the fight that's going on for P4. Marco Wittmann currently in that P4 place with Jonathan Aberdeen right on behind, and there, confirmation of the battle for rank 4 between Marco Wittmann and Jonathan Aberdeen. Something of a star is Jonathan Aberdeen, no question about that, and we saw the talent last year in DTM, and his craft is just getting better and better. So now through turn 8, taken absolutely flat. And he will try and brake later than Marco just to get a bit closer to him. So through the chicane they go. And Aberdeen probably not close enough to be able to have a go into turn 1. Lights being flashed by Jonathan Aberdeen in the hope that Marco Wittmann will make a, well, it would be an exceptionally rare error. And there is Mike Rockenfeller then. Not quite as close to Fabio Scherer on this lap as he was on the previous. Ferdinand Habsburg and Jamie Green have both pitted now. And there is Lucas Auer. And sure enough, there's Jamie Green and Ferdinand Habsburg. Both come into the pit lane at the same time. WRT go to work on the Ferdinand Habsburg car. And for Jamie Green,
on the pit exit.
Audi Sport Team Rosberg. So Jamie and Ferdinand going to come out with Nico Müller and Loic Duval pursuing. Of course, Nico Müller on tyres that are now up to temperature. Therefore, Jamie Green will be relatively easy prey to Nico Müller on the shorter sprint circuit of the Nurburgring that we use this weekend for DTM. And sure enough, going into turn 3, Nico Müller goes through on Jamie Green. So Nico Müller then up into P13, but of course needs to get himself into a points-paying position to try and salvage something out of this race. Nürburgring has been really unlucky to him today thus far. So Loic Duval, though, making heavier weather getting past Jamie Green, because Jamie will have put perhaps enough temperature into those tyres now to be able to hold off Loic Duval, who is virtually welded to him now as they go around turn number 8. Loic Duval is going to have a go going into the chicane, and is there going to be sufficient room? It's tight through there, but Loic has got the inside line, which is advantageous through turn 11. Jamie Green, though, is not giving absolutely anything away, and as the exit, the final turn, Loic Duval does get his nose in front of the Jamie Green car. So that puts Loic Duval up to P14 and Jamie Green P15. So we've got 4 cars that have pitted: Müller, Duval, Green and Habsburg. And now Jamie Green is going to take the fight back to Loic Duval, having got the temperature into the tyres now. So those 4 are the stoppers thus far. Bear in mind the race duration has been increased to 55 minutes plus 2 laps. As in comes Sheldon van der Linde and also Mike Rockenfeller, I can see from our data screen. Also coming in is Robert Kubica.
Okay, watch the speed, watch the white line. You're going to come out in front of Müller, who has stopped already.
Linda, going past.
Phoenix go to work on
the drop.
Rockenfeller car.
Important to stay in front of Jamie and Duval. Big push to make sure you pass them.
And here comes Sheldon van der Linde then, back out. And Mike Rockenfeller. Nico Müller's tyres up to temperature now, so he is able to get ahead of Mike Rockenfeller with no dramas. And as you heard the engineer saying, it's critical for Mike Rockenfeller to keep the likes of Loic Duval and Jamie Green behind him. So stopping on lap 13 for van der Linde and Rockenfeller and Kubica. Earliest stopper was Loic Duval on lap 7, Nico Müller on lap 9, the very car that we look at now and ride on board with us. Chasing down Sheldon van der Linde, who of course, having just come out, is desperately trying to generate temperature into the tyres, and it'll be here where Nico Müller has an advantage going through this turn. Now it's flat out all the way to the chicane. Sheldon van der Linde and Nico Müller both using the drag reduction system, the wing dropping there, and Sheldon may have done enough here to see off the charge from Nico Müller for the moment. Through the chicane they go. What kind of an exit does Nico Müller get? Needs to try and put himself to the inside of the Sheldon van der Linde car, but isn't close enough, I don't think. So staying on board with Nico Müller now as we run down towards turn number 1. Look for the dive to the inside. That's denied by Sheldon. It's a long way around the outside. This is not optimum, but if he can hold steady here, Nico Müller, that will give him the inside for turn 2. Brilliant overtake from Nico Müller on Sheldon van der Linde. Sheldon trying to come back, but Nico Müller with a very good overtake indeed. Here we can see it again. He went to the inside first. The door was blocked by Sheldon, so he had to go to the outside, but the momentum he had and the confidence he had in the car and the grip available to him was such that he was prepared to hold on. There was a little rub between them. And this from back on board with Nico Müller.
26 lap remaining.
And a great overtake. And that's Loic Duval. Now, dependent upon where that car is situated, this could be still further drama in this race. Philipp Eng has been in and returns out on track now. And Loic Duval has made contact with the barriers. I think that's on the exit of turn 5. So on board with René Rast. Still, of course, chasing down Robin Freins. The gap is seesawing between P1 and P2 a bit. It's down to just 1.3 seconds now between P1 and P2. So it was in the middle of turn 5 where Loic just locked up and makes contact with the barriers. Now, in comes Robin Freins and René Rast. This could be a fight in the pit lane.
Safety car and an undercut from Nico. I guess everyone will box at the moment. Nico is on 5 laps older tires compared to you.
And sure enough, everyone does box because the safety car is deployed as expected. We keep an eye on the stop times. And a very good stop.
+1 and +2 DRS on Wittmann and Eng.
Good stop for Abt Sportsline on Robin Freins. And a good stop too from Rosberg on René Rast. So as the Loic Duval car is recovered and is set off again, as you can see, the safety car should come in at the earliest opportunity, so the cars will have to go side by side once again. And what we've seen is in anticipation of the safety car, everyone came in, and Loic Duval managing to find reverse and get the car out of the barriers and back out on track again. So safety car deployment for the second time in this DTM race. Some damage to the panel work of the Loic Duval car. Whether it's anything more serious than that remains to be seen. What it does mean is that the face of this race could change all over again. Plays right into the hands of Nico Müller, who, stopping earlier, finds himself in P6 now. Of course, he will, come the end of the race, have older tyres than virtually anybody else. Cars will have to go side by side again for the Indy-style restart, to the best of our knowledge. Nothing indicative on the message board to suggest that it will be anything other than that. So the order is Freins, Rast, Wittmann, Aberdeen, Auer, Glock, Newey, Eng. And there is Loic Duval. Who, him being in the barriers in turn 5, is what propelled the safety car to have to come out again. Now, I suspect that the cars will grid up behind the safety car now, and the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. I can see no reason why that wouldn't happen, and sure enough, on screen, as we can see, confirmation that the safety car will come in this lap. René was getting just a little bit closer to Robin Freins up until that safety car intervention. What will he be able to do? Nico Müller finds himself now up into that P6 position, but do bear in mind Nico's going to be on among the oldest tyres out there. Loic Duval has got the oldest, but what have we got? 28 minutes plus 2 laps. It's going to be 27 minutes, as near as makes no difference, plus 2 laps by the time the safety car has come in and the race has resumed once again. So the marshal then informing the drivers to grid up side by side. And Robin Freins has to oversee a successful restart for the second time of asking. Of course, during the pit stops, Marco Wittmann has found himself ahead of Philipp Eng. Then it's Aberdeen and Muller, and Nico Muller will be the one that could take the most advantage out of this. So as the cars seemingly crawl around the final turn, Robin Freins and René Rast on the front row, of course, once again controlling the pace of this restart. They come past our commentary studio here, and the engine note will rise when they give it everything on the accelerator. And a good start from Robin Freins. René Rast to make sure he protects that inside line. Our race distance now increased to 55 minutes plus 3 laps. You're getting real value out of us today, as Philipp Eng potentially retakes this P3 position, although Marco Wittmann all the way around the outside of René Rast. So Marco Wittmann now finds himself in P2. René Rast is under real pressure here. They're like cork in a bottle behind René at the moment. Nico Muller ahead of Jonathan Aberdeen. He's got Philipp Eng in his target sights. Here comes Robin Freins. Then it's Marco Wittmann P2. René Rast relegated to P3. Some dust being kicked up, and Robert Kubica under investigation for infringement of the safety car restart. And down behind the paddock they go. The order is now Freins, Wittmann, Rast, Eng, Muller, Aberdeen, van der Linde. Loic Duval, another one in real charge here. Timo Glock, of course, there's history between Timo Glock and Loic Duval from right at the very start of this race, and all the way around the outside of Loic Duval went Harrison Newey, who now is pursuing Timo Glock. Fabio Scherer from a long way back in the light blue car puts himself on the inside of Loic Duval. So further down the order, lots going on. And Robert Kubica and Lucas Auer having a battle also. Kubica on the inside, runs Lucas wide. Lucas on the grass. So too Fabio Scherer in his quest to get ahead of Duval and get on terms with Harry Newey. On board with Jonathan Aberdeen, who has the Nico Muller car ahead of him. Nico Muller now into P5. Under investigation, the incident between cars 10 and 13. Car 10 being that of Newey, 13 that of Scherer. Mike Rockefeller and Jamie Green virtually welded together there in P9 and P10. We're on board with Sheldon van der Linde, who's P7. Accelerating out of turn 11. And Robin Freins over Marco Wittmann, 1.2 seconds. Green just taking a look at the inside of Mike Rockefeller. And Robert Kubica gets a drive-through penalty for an infringement of the Indianapolis restart. And that was the reason why he pulled out of the... and Loic Duval has lost a portion of his car, a big portion, because they've been coming together, and I think that was with Fabio Scherer. So, the safety car is deployed again for the third time of asking in this race. So, Loic Duval, and I'm sure it was Fabio Scherer. So there is Scherer. Lucas Auer is in the middle of them. And in fairness, Scherer's across the front of Auer and then collides with Lucas Auer. Collides with the car of... Oh, and that was quite an impact. Forgive me, just picking up on that picture as he made that contact with Lloyd Duval. And various bits coming off the Lloyd Duval car. So 3 cars involved in that. Fabio Scherer, Lucas Auer, and this we can see even better. So as Scherer comes back onto the track, he finds the gap that he wants to go into is full of the Lucas Auer BMW. He then goes around the front of that car and connects with Lloyd Duval, scattering various bits of Duval's Audi across the track. I certainly wouldn't be... I want to be the race director in terms of calling that one. So great to have that replay. That one in particular shows us how that all unfolded. And Lloyd Duval, regrettably, he just walks away and can't believe it. And neither can Ernst Moser. So for the third time of asking, then the safety car is out under investigation. The incident between Fabio Scherer and Lloyd Duval and Lucas Auer. And Fabio Scherer then, whose car is stricken as well. And there you can see he made it to turn 5, but it was going to go no further than that. And he is livid. Absolutely livid. Thinks twice about actually kicking the door. So for the third time, the safety car is out and Lloyd Duval looks on as his car is put onto the trailer. Of course, a lot of work to be done for the team in readying that car for qualifying tomorrow, as Jamie Green has taken a second stop. No further action on that incident between Scherer, Duval and Lucas Auer, being put down to a racing incident, which I said at the time, I certainly wouldn't want to be the race director to try and pick the bones out of that one. Sven Stopper, the race director here for DTM, and deciding no further action to be taken. So the Fabio Scherer car is going to be recovered as well. And once that has happened, we should be able to go back to racing again. Jamie Green has come in for a second stop under the during the safety car phase. The order: Freins, Wittmann, Rast, then Eng, Muller, Aberdeen. So there is Jamie Green, who, bear in mind, unless the race duration changes again, we're at 55 minutes plus 2 laps. We've got just under 19 minutes plus those 2 laps left to run. And the safety car is coming in this lap. What an extraordinary race we've seen. DTM here at Nurburgring for the second weekend, but on the shorter sprint circuit. And Fabio Scherer takes on board some water then and relaxes in a chair. Bitterly disappointed being out of the race. Now, Ernst Moser, of course, faces some work to do. Let's hear from him now, from the team.
All right, so I've got Ernst Moser here. And quite frankly, there was no further action after this incident. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, for Loic was on the right side. He don't want to fight because he was one lap behind, and the other ones come together. So he was just in the wrong moment, in the wrong place. That's it.
So very unfortunate. It looks like a big impact. Do you think you guys will be able to get the car ready for tomorrow's qualifying?
I think we need the overnight choker to rebuild the car, but we will start tomorrow again for sure.
All right, Ernst Moser is about to restart, so thank you very much, and back to you.
Thanks very much, and well done, Verena, for getting Ernst Moser then. Team principal of Audi Sport Team Phoenix facing a night shift of work to repair the Loic Duval car. Well, the safety car was coming in this lap. That's now been aborted because, as you can see, the marshals are down there retrieving some parts of car which are stricken on the track. So the safety car stays out, controlling.
You can still give us feedback for turn 2.
Controlling the race whilst the debris is recovered. And there you can see the recovery team down there at turn 2 picking up some of the bits of probably Loic Duval's DTM car. Returned forthwith to Audi Sport Team Phoenix and will aid them in their effort to repair that car overnight. Of course, just one small shard of fibre through a tyre. So well done to the team here for working hard to collect as much of the debris as possible. And Fabio Scherer watches the race from quite an advantageous seat, although of course the seat that he would like to be in will be the one that is in the number 13 car, and so wishes his race wasn't over. As Ernst Moser said, it was just one of those situations. Loic Duval found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Contact between Fabio Scherer and Lucas Auer propelled the Fabio Scherer car into Loic Duval. So the car's now being told to grid up because the safety car is going to come in at the conclusion of this lap. So Robin Freins this time around has got to control the restart with Marco Wittmann on his outside rather than René Rast. So how much of an advantage can Nico Müller take out of this restart? He'll be alongside Philipp Eng, of course.
Copy.
And right behind...
Same procedure as before.
René Rast. So as the safety car peels off into the pit lane, we have just under 15 minutes plus 2 laps of race action to come from the DTM. And the cars slowly creep towards the lighting gantry. It's Robin Freins, it's Marco Wittmann. Then it's René Rast, Philipp Eng, then Nico Müller and Jonathan Aberdeen. So now they go past the gantry, and a good start, good restart once again from Robin Freins. Big disadvantage potentially to Marco Wittmann, who has René Rast right on his outside. Marco needs traction now, but René Rast is able to put himself into that P2 position. Marco in his own battle with Philipp Eng, as Philipp Eng is run out really wide. Nico Müller, of course, letting those two fight ahead of him, and he's ready to pick up any of the pieces that should come awry between the battle between the two BMW stars ahead of him. On board with Robin Freins, looking back at René Rast, who picks up this P2 place now, and is Philipp Eng going to get the better of Marco Wittmann? No, he's not. On board with Nico Müller, who, of course, the more fights that go on in front of him, the better for him, because it slows them and allows Nico to get ever closer. But Nico under a bit of pressure from Jonathan Aberdeen. And it's Jonathan Aberdeen that we go on board with now as they run into the chicane for the first time of asking after that restart. And Robin Freins eking out a gap over René Rast. We'll see what it is as they break the timing beam. And how many times has Robin had to do this? 0.8 of a second. So car number 10 being given a black and white flag for forcing Fabio Scherer off the track, and that was Harrison Newey for an incident earlier on. And now Sheldon van der Linde and Jamie Green side by side. The fight for P9 and P10 intensifies with Jamie Green with the inside line, but Sheldon van der Linde carrying so much pace there. But Jamie Green able to close under braking as they go into turn 3. And this is turn 4, where Sheldon will once again have the inside line and does put himself ahead. Robert Kubica, of course, he has been into the pit lane because he got a drive-through penalty for an infringement of the previous safety car restart. On board with Jonathan Aberdeen. And there is Nico Muller, DRS wing enabled, trying to get closer to Philipp Eng. And the order is Freins, Rast, Wittmann, Eng, Muller. So Nico Muller in a P5 position, which I think probably after what had gone on earlier, he'd be happy to take that. Harrison Newey really defending against Mike Rockenfeller there as Mike was going for the inside line. Harrison Newey firmly closed the door, and Freins ekes out that margin to a second now between himself and René Rast. So through turn 1, the last of the cars go, and Harrison Newey here short-cutting the chicane. On board with Robin Freins, looking backwards at the René Rast car. Thomas Biermeier on the pit wall for Abt Sportsline. And here is René Rast, some 1.1 seconds down on the leading number 4 car. We've got 11 minutes plus 2 laps of this DTM race remaining. And Nico Muller not able to break away from this man, Jonathan Aberdeen, who is running in P6, just 3 tenths between the two of them. And Ferdinand Habsburg about to come calling as Sheldon van der Linde takes a look at the inside of Timo Glock. Perfectly executed move there from Sheldon van der Linde on Timo. And then Jamie Green, who of course has stopped twice, bear in mind, in that P10 position. Stefan Reinhold then on the pit wall there. And Glock taking a look at the inside. Jamie Green on the outside of Glock now. And Timo making the car as wide as possible, but it's not enough to be able to deny Jamie Green the inside line here. Jamie running just a little bit wide there. And Timo out onto the Astro. Now, of course, Timo's car probably, its handling is compromised by half the back end missing from the opening lap skirmish with Loic Duval. That seems ages ago now, but they certainly did make contact, and certainly if it wasn't the opening lap, it was one of the very early laps. So Muller for now is seeing off the charge from Aberdeen. Marco Wittmann and Philipp Eng not close enough together to be able to have a change there. Cars number 10 and 99, Martin Rockenfeller, have got to switch positions. So Harrison Newey will lose that P11 and go back down to P12 because Harrison Newey got that position having shortcutted the chicane effectively. So they've got to swap their positions, and Harrison's got to give way to Mike Rockenfeller. On board Aberdeen's car now. Under braking, tries to get closer to Marco Wittmann. So Robin Freins' lead now is down to just 6.5 tenths from René Rast. There's Muller. So the gap between Robin and Nico then has increased to 4 seconds. And 8.25 minutes plus a couple of laps remaining. Freins has, over the last sector, has increased the margin between himself and Rast a little bit. We're on board once again with Jonathan Aberdeen running in P6. And chasing down the Audi of the Drivers' Championship leader, Nico Müller, who's desperately trying to get on terms with Philipp Eng, but is thus far being denied. Hasn't got the pace to catch them up. And looking backwards from the Robin Freins race-leading car to René Rast. All the data being looked at by Thomas Biermeier. Of course, from a tyre point of view, the tyre wear rate should be identical for Robin Freins and René Rast. Eng again using DRS to try and get a bit closer to Marco Wittmann, who's running in P3. And we're on board with that P3 driver, the former two-time DTM champion Marco Wittmann. Jamie Green gets a black and white flag for forcing Timo Glock off. That was through turn number 2, just a lap or so ago. Just under 7 minutes. And where are the close battles then in this DTM race now? Well, Sheldon van der Linde is fancying that P7 place, which is held by Ferdinand Habsburg currently. Rast now just trying to reduce that gap to Robin Freins, and indeed over the last sector has done so. Oh, and Robin makes a small error there and runs out wide. That will have cost him a couple of tenths and allowed René to get just a little bit closer. Into turn 1 again. Habsburg seeing off the charge from Sheldon van der Linde for the moment, and Jamie Green moving in to try and re-attack Sheldon van der Linde potentially for that P8 place. So 4 tenths as Oliver Hoffmann from Audi AG looks on to what has been an extraordinarily entertaining DTM race with more drama than a little, certainly with 3 safety cars. And P3 place for Marco Wittmann. But it's Freins and Rast who are P1 and P2. The difference between them just 6 tenths or thereabouts. As they cross another sector line now, it is 7 tenths. So Jamie Green and Timo Glock being told to swap positions. And that means that Jamie Green will be relegated to P10 and Timo Glock improves his position to P9. So Freins and Rast head into turn number 1. The front 4 cars having broken away from the rest of the pack fairly significantly, and it's that gap that Nico Müller is trying to reduce down, and that's very, very hard work indeed. The pressure has really been on Robin, who has had to, after a fantastic start to the race, has had to then recover from 3 safety car periods where the cars go side by side for Indy-style restart. Timo Glock now needs to get himself past the Jamie Green car, those cars being advised to swap positions. So Jamie Green will probably let Timo Glock through between turn 11 and the start-finish straight. Sure enough, the door is left open for Timo to go through. Jamie back on the gas again, and we'll try and get him going into turn number 1. Now this was through turn number 2, where there really wasn't a lot of room left, to be fair. In fairness, Jamie's had that against him as well, not necessarily from Timo, but earlier on in the race. The gap from P1 to P2 is down to just under 4 tenths now, as Jamie Green tries to retake that P9 place, which is held by Timo Glock now. And sure enough, all the way around the outside goes Jamie Green. And Mike Rockenfeller trying to take advantage as well across the grass. Jamie Green, though, locks up, and he goes on. And the big beneficiary there.
Something's bent on that broke on the suspension.
Mike Rockenfeller. So as we can hear from Jamie Green's
just park it.
team radio, something broke on the suspension in the contact, and that meant that he just went straight on. And the big beneficiary was Mike Rockenfeller, and here comes Harry Newey with a go on Timo Glock. So here we can see again. I mean, it was hard. And then something broke on the suspension of the Jamie Green car. And Mike Rockenfeller across the tarmac, dirt, grass.
Yeah, still yellow, turn 5.
You name it. And this is how Mike Rockenfeller tried to take advantage. And there you can see the lockup comes because something broken on the Jamie Green car, and Mike Rockenfeller continuing to try and get himself ahead at that stage of Timo Glock, which he indeed succeeded in doing. In the meantime, Robin Freins has responded to René Rast getting closer by increasing the margin to just under a second. So really, really good driving from Robin Freins, managing this gap back to René Rast. And Timo Glock now getting the warning flag for forcing Jamie Green off the track. A real fight between the two of them. On board with Robin Freins then. So we'll have this lap plus the next one. Therefore, we're going to get, by my reckoning, the remainder of this lap plus 3 more. So much having gone on, I might have got that wrong, but it's how I see it. So there is Timo Glock, who now finds himself at P10, being hounded by Harry Newey and Lucas Sauer. Mike Rockenfeller taking well, he was forced really into taking that unorthodox ride through the rough stuff. But he was absolutely committed to it and held onto the car remarkably. Freins extending his margin to 1 second now. So when we cross the timing line this time, the clock having gone down to 0, it'll be 2 more laps, in my opinion. So the top 4 then, ahead of Nico Müller, who's running in that P5, which, following the spin earlier on in the race, I'm sure he'll be pleasantly surprised to take P5. So Robin Freins crossed the timing line with just under a second ahead of René Rast. And then the 2 BMWs of Marco Wittmann and Philipp Eng, ahead of Nico Müller and Jonathan Aberdeen. Then it's Ferdinand Habsburg P7, Sheldon van der Linde P8, Mike Rockenfeller P9, and Timo Glock P10, with 3 laps to go. So 55 minutes plus 1 lap, plus the 2 additional ones. Yeah, okay. 3 laps left in this DTM race. Of course, we've lost Fabio Scherer and Loic Duval from earlier incidents. On board now through the gearbox. And this is our race-leading driver, Robin Freins, into the chicane and out. And the two BMWs are getting a bit closer to the Audis, but with 2 laps to go after they cross the timing line on this occasion, whether it's coming too late, Muller and Aberdeen, with a healthy gap between those two as well, where the tight fights are in the closing stages of this race. Perhaps Van der Linde and Habsburg, Aberdeen, Muller, they're as close as they're getting at the moment, but Rene now, with 2 laps left to go, has reduced the gap to Robin to initially 5 tenths, but Robin responds and increases it by another couple of tenths. So really seesawing between these two. And you just know that Rene will have given absolutely everything to try and get on terms with Robin Freins, but the pace from Robin has been really, really good, as has his racecraft as well. So out of the chicane, and Robin knows that he's got, when he crosses the timing line, 1 more lap to do. Is there anything that Rene can find on this last lap to try and take the fight to Robin Freins, P2 in the Drivers' Championship? So we stay on board with Robin Freins, looking back at Rene Rast. Under braking, Rene tries to get a little bit closer. In terms of points hauls, Rene knows that banking P2 rather than binning it in an attempt to get the win is always a better answer. But that takes nothing away from the desire that he will have to be P1. So in this race, the last time of asking now for Robin Freins through turn 8 to head towards the chicane as Rene gets closer, closer, closer. And under braking, virtually welded together through the chicane, but very good traction and exit out of the turn for Robin Freins, who will look towards the checkered flag to seal his 3rd win of the season. Well done, Robin Freins.
Yes, buddy. Untouchable today. Good job, buddy. Good job. Awesome. Masterclass.
And you can hear the applause.
I could do. I was just washing out the front tires behind him all the time.
Copy that. Anyway, ALS off. Slow in and some pickup, please.
Thomas Biermeyer there, very happy indeed. On board with Rene Rast then. Robin Freins has secured his 3rd win of the season. 2 in a row, of course, as he took the win in the 2nd race here on the GP circuit. So well done, Robin. What a race. So much going on. Confirmation of the result, Robin Freins from Rene Rast, P1, P2. Then Marco Wittmann and Philipp Eng. Ahead of Nico Muller, Jonathan Aberdeen, Ferdinand Habsburg, Sheldon van der Linde, Mike Rockefeller and Timo Glock rounding out the top 10. Ahead of Harrison Newey, Lucas out, Robert Kubica, and of course out went Jamie Green, Fabio Scherer and Loic Duval. So the spectators that have been allowed to be here at the Nurburgring have been treated to quite a spectacle as Jamie Green inspects his car, knowing that something is broken, a suspension component. And in the championship then, 216 points to Nico Muller, but look at Robin Freins on 203 now, and Rene Rast on 180. So in terms of the Drivers' Championship, It's a fascinating prospect with 7 races remaining. And, of course, another race to come tomorrow. So the cars all into the pit lane after a Herculean effort, truthfully, during that race. And the 1, 2, 3 lining up. Freins, Wittmann and Rast all out of their cars. Robin Freins very happy. Quite rightly so. Congratulated by Rene. Did everything he could, and here in replay, Robin Freins taking the checkered flag and sealing his 3rd win of the season. Chased all the way by Rene, but the victory in the end would be Robin's. Absolutely faultless drive from Robin Freins. And Thomas Biermeyer from Abt Sportsline. Pretty happy with that as well. So super slow-mo of the Robin Freins car. And of course we'll be hearing from him in due course. So every safety car restart, he had to do it all over again. Great news for Abt Sportsline, of course. And Robin celebrating then in Parc Fermé. A good result for Marco Wittmann as well, taking P3. So Freins, Rast, Wittmann from Eng, Muller, Aberdeen, then Habsburg, Van der Linde, Rockefeller and Timo Glock rounding out the top 10. So the drivers all there, and Marco Wittmann presented with his P3 trophy. And René Rast stands upon the podium and holds his trophy.
Dann freuen wir uns auf den Vertreter des Teams R06, Werner Fischer, der Chefmechaniker.
The team award.
Zweite Siegfolge. Dritte in der Saison. Aus den Niederlanden. Startnummer 4. Für das Team Autosport R06, Robin Freins.
There is Robin.
Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
Looks something like a musical conductor there, Robin, just for a moment.
Und zu Ehren des Siegers hören wir jetzt die niederländische Nationalhymne.
And the anthem plays out.
Einmal bitte die Pokale in die Luft für die Fotografen.
And they're all three. Robin Freins, René Rast and Marco Wittmann.
Vielen Dank und natürlich Champagne. Gentlemen, spray it, but don't drink it.
Well, they spray it with abandon.
Hier geht's dann weiter um 15:15 Uhr mit den Rennen der DTM.
So the celebrations down there. And congratulations all round from the top 3 drivers. Super slow-mos of the top three. Marco Wittmann then, a very good result for him, taking P3. Threw everything at it, but in the end, the best that René Rast could do was P2. And a pretty much faultless drive from this man, Robin Freins, who takes the win. Let's hear from the man then that's banked to P2, and that is René Rast with Verena now.
This guy pushed so hard, he tried everything. René, it's a fantastic second place. You were trying so hard for victory, but I guess it was just not possible. But you're happy with the P2?
Yeah, I'm happy. Even though obviously starting from pole, you want to win the race, but my start wasn't great. I think it's all started yesterday because we had a problem yesterday. I couldn't do any practice start, and it was just I didn't do any long run, so we were on the back foot from yesterday onwards already. And today was my first start basically. So I didn't know what to expect, and the start wasn't the best. Unfortunately, lost to Robin. Yeah, and then I just tried to stick to Robin. We had a lot of safety cars, a lot of action. In the end, I maybe tried a tiny bit too late. I had an attack in the last corner or last chicane. Maybe I should have tried 1-2 laps earlier, but you're always smart to be after the race.
But you did a great job. Thank you very much, René. And I'm going to try to grab a hold of Robin. Oh yes, and there he is. Congratulations, Robin. What a phenomenal race. And quite frankly, with 3 restarts, how nerve-wracking was it?
It was very difficult in the car. I mean, every time you get in the rhythm, there's a safety car 3 times. And you had a good gap always, and then, you know, you waste your gap and you waste your tires as well. So in the last one, when René took P2 again, it was very difficult because we had similar pace and he was on push to pass in DRS all the time. So I knew if I would make a mistake, I would lose my position. So it was very nerve-wracking in the car, and I'm happy to make it till the end.
You did not make a mistake, so you did a phenomenal job. Thank you very much, Robin. Back to you.
Thanks very much. Yes, a faultless drive from Robin, and as he rightly says, every time he has to do that restart, of course, he has putting more pressure on the tyres, and the gap that he had is being lost. But this really was a lightning start from Robin, and as René says, having missed out on the practice starts, unfortunately for him, that was effectively his first start of the weekend, and it didn't go well. And there you can see how Robin Freins got by with a really, really good launch from Robin Freins, and Nico Müller tried his luck around the outside of René, but it wasn't to be. So Robin Freins then and some super shots of the race-winning car, and just look how he's driving that sideways, and beautiful as he held onto the car and had to do so. And as he said that
yes, boys, yes,
the pace was very similar between him and René.
Yes, buddy, untouchable today. Good job, buddy, good job, awesome, masterclass.
He was untouchable, and it was a masterclass. And that's him celebrating. Excellent stuff. Third win of the season for Robin Freins, and now in a very, very interesting position with regards to chasing Nico Müller in the Drivers' Championship points. And there he goes. Takes his trophy. Let's hear from Marco Wittmann now with Verena.
This man also really pushed very, very hard. Marco Wittmann coming from P6 to P3, so how excited are you about this podium?
Yeah, I have to say pretty happy. I mean, we had a good race start, sorted out our clutch issues from last weekend actually, and then it was a quite tough race, I have to say. The first stint, let's say, was pretty calm, pretty relaxed, but you know, then with the pit stops, with the, I think, 2 or 3 safety car phases, I don't know even how many we had, it was a bit chaotic. At the end, you had to be really, or let's say like this, you had to keep your head really cool, you know. because there were some contact with other drivers, and it was here and there quite a mess, I have to say. But yeah, at the end, really happy with P3. A bit unfortunate that we had the last safety car, because at this stage I was running already in P2, and it seemed like P2 is the worst side for an Indy restart, you know, because the Indy restart before, René lost the place to me, and then he got it back actually on the restart. But that's racing. I'm actually happy with P3.
In fact, they had 3 restarts, so you were saying you have to keep your cool. But when you're sitting behind the wheel in the middle of a race, what is it like, 3 restarts?
Well, I mean, sometimes you hope for it, because you know you maybe can gain positions, but it can also go wrong, you know. It can also go in the other direction. It's always like a 50-50 chance to either gain or to lose. And I would say the first 2 I gained quite a lot. The last one I lost 1 place to René, but that's okay. I mean, that's racing. It's exciting, and I think for the spectators it was a good show.
Oh, I'm sure, not only for the spectators, we were all nail-biting, that's for sure. And last question, looking forward to tomorrow. I mean, you've got the pace, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a bit more in for us in quality today. We had a bit of a bad timing with the yellow flag and the red flag at the end. So I think there's a little bit more in, hopefully for tomorrow, and then hope for a good race again tomorrow.
All right, Marco, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, that was it from today. We had so much action in this race. 3 restarts, I mean, truly exciting racing. And I'm looking forward so much to tomorrow to hopefully see exciting action, exciting fights. And we'll also have sunshine, so that's always good. Here are the highlights. Do enjoy them, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Yes, buddy! Untouchable today. Good job, buddy. Good job. Awesome. Masterclass.